This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com. Let's talk a little bit about a hypothetical Hall of Fame. Shane Hill wants to know if there ever becomes a professional wrestling Hall of Fame and museum, not a WWE Hall of Fame. Where should it be, and who should the 10 members in its inaugural class be? Of course, Shane probably may not realize that there are wrestling museums and there are wrestling Hall of Fames, but I do like the idea of there being one sort of centrally located, universally recognized Hall of Fame. It would be cool if we had our own version of Cooperstown or whatever. What do you think? Who should be in some of that inaugural class for a wrestling Hall of Fame?
Well, where would you put it? Number one, I mean, you have the one that's like the Shooters, Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, where that's in Iowa, right?
Yeah, I think there's one in Iowa. There's one in New York. There's probably some others that I'm forgetting, but I do know that they exist. And of course, in print, the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame exists. And of course, on TV, the WWE Hall of Fame exists. But if there were a true blue, okay, we're all going to hit the reset button and everybody's going to agree in wrestling, which we know will never happen. But this is our Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame that everyone is going to sort of come visit and walk through, and it'll become a really cool sort of our own version of Cooperstown. Who would the 10 guys be, do you think?
Well, let me just take a stab, and I don't want to insult any one city because the world has been good to the wrestling industry, and I'm grateful for that. I thank you on behalf of all of us, companies big and small. But I would say the one that my experience has been with that has been faithful to us throughout history and to large companies, small companies, big events, small events, new guy in town, no matter what, is probably Chicago.
Yeah.
I would put your Hall of Fame there because it is kind of it's the Midwest. It's in the middle of the country, and those damn fans have earned it. So they get the actual physical site. Now we're looking at 10 guys that should go in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can even begin a Hall of Fame unless you put Bruno in there. I would think, number one.
I agree.
I think you got to have Flair and Hogan just for who they are and what they've contributed.
Of course.
Dusty Rhodes.
Yep.
Let's see here. I think you got to put Ricky Steamboat in there.
Wow. Okay.
Just for as hot as he was and probably is. And I think, the business has never been hotter than when he was at his best. I think you got to put Steve Austin in there.
Yep.
Got to put Andre the Giant.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one Giant.
You got 2 spots left.
This is going to be a little difficult. Who would you say is someone that really has affected the business and changed the business and made an impact on the business that maybe we're looking over that really reset the standard in some way?
Well, listen, you've got tons of guys you could put on the list, Mick Foley, Undertaker, The Rock, John Cena. I mean, I'm sure there's tons more. We haven't even, touched on anybody as far as international talent. We haven't mentioned anyone from Mexico or Japan. But if we're just sticking with American wrestling, and if you really want to talk about innovation and sort of ahead of their time, I mean, you would think a guy like Rey Mysterio or maybe Sabu, but I'm sure you've got a ton more off the top of your head.
Well, just for for his commitment to excellence and his leadership role, and the fact that the guy's just willing to put his body out there and do whatever he can to make the product better, and the overall respect he has from everyone that's ever been in the room with him. Got to put an Undertaker in there, I think.
Yep. Last one.
And I think it's unfair that I'm not up to speed on the Japanese wrestling and the overseas wrestling that I should be. Boy, it's a tough one, isn't it?
You haven't mentioned Bret Hart, Kurt Hennig, Ted DiBiase, Rick Rude, a lot of other guys who maybe deserves the conversation.
Unbelievable talents, but we're talking the 10 the 10 best, right?
Yeah.
Whatever classification we're putting them, that's a terrible responsibility. But I'm trying to do it a service here. You know what? I'm gonna because you kind of woke me up and made me think a little different. For the longest time, most people, myself included, had a vision in their mind of what a professional wrestler was supposed to look like.
Yeah.
And if he didn't look like that, he couldn't have been one of the top guys. And I think the first guy to truly wake you up to the fact that you didn't have to be 6'5" and 270 to be successful and over in this business, you just had to be able to perform. And I think Rey Mysterio was the first guy that woke you up to the fact that, you know what? This guy doesn't have a chance at the bell. The little guy's going to get squashed. But through his thought process and psychology and the way he worked his matches, Rey never ran over anybody. Rey chopped everybody down a piece at a time. And at the end of the night, you bought it because of the way he did it. I think Rey set the standard and opened the door for smaller guys to have a very prominent place in the industry and be credible in everything they do. And it wasn't about size. It was about quality.
I love your 10. I got to say, it tells you exactly, front and center, how you feel about Ricky Steamboat, that he's on the list ahead of guys like Shawn Michaels and The Rock and so many others. But you've even said here on the show that if he could go back and have a singles match at WrestleMania with any one guy, it would be Ricky Steamboat. When it comes to your all-time best opponents you were in the ring with, Ricky's right at the top of the list, right?
Yeah, and it's one of those things, Conrad, that you'll never get to experience, or I hope not. You got to be in the ring with him.
Right.
It was not a knock on you, but boy, it really was. I hope I never have to see that match.
Me too.
But you with your money, you never have to see anything that you don't want to see going forward. but anyway, you've got to be in the ring with him to understand just how good, how smooth, how intelligent, what a wrestling IQ he has to know exactly where to be at the right time and the right thing to do at the right thing, and the selling, the sucking you into he needs your help. Please clap, cheer, chant my name. I need your help. I'm hurt. All those messages you want to send to the audience, he has mastered. And he's so athletic and just looks the part. And people love him. And he's one of those guys that you walk in the room, he doesn't even have to open his mouth. And 5 minutes later, you look and you go, that guy's a really nice guy. And he hasn't opened his mouth. It just comes out of his pores. He's a good human being and just a really unbelievable performer. And people that have been in the ring with him will tell you he's so much better than what you can even see. All those intangibles that he has. He's just a special talent.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.